Liverpool Football Club, Chelsea Football Club, things are happening on both sides of it. And as an Arsenal fan, as a rival fan, I like to get my perspectives. I like to see what's happening across the world, across the Premier League. And you know what the maddest thing is? The Chelsea stuff and the Liverpool stuff links very nicely. So in this video, we're going to discuss both of those things because, of course, Chelsea today played in an FA Cup final against Arsenal's title rivals Man City, and Chelsea were defeated, I believe, their 8th consecutive defeat in domestic cup finals. For Chelsea, that doesn't look good. But there's things happening behind the scenes that are going to have a major impact next year, not just on Chelsea, but the rest of the Premier League as well. Now, losing that final against City means that City will now face Arsenal once again at the start of next season in the Community Shield, but that's not the thing I want to focus on. This, my friends, is the breaking news, and it's regarding Chelsea's brand new manager, Xabi Alonso, because we have got a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. The agreement is set, it is completed, and Chelsea are preparing official documents or announcements in the upcoming days. Xavi has said yes to the Chelsea project, and he's going to sign a 4-year contract until June 2030. He's agreed that he will be in London for the next days to start this new chapter. My initial thoughts on Chelsea getting Alonso, this is massive. This is gargantuan, and this will have a major impact next year going forwards because Chelsea aren't going to get European football, and yes, this year they failed in terms of the Premier League. They failed to win any major trophies, and if they'd won the FA Cup, they would have been a little light there, but ultimately speaking, they were not good enough, and letting go of Enzo Maresca was the biggest mistake, but I don't know what happened behind the scenes there. How they reacted after that, who they appointed after that, it didn't work out, but the main thing was going to be, how were they going to replace Maresca, because they never really properly replaced him. Liam Rosenior, my friend, you gave us some very iconic quotes, but now Xavi is at the helm, and as an Arsenal fan, I'm not going to go over the top and say, oh, this is really scary, but you have to respect what Chelsea have there, and I'm going to be very logical here. Chelsea's squad, with the idea of that squad, the size of squad they have, and some of the quality players they have as well. Some players I could argue can become world class or even are world class. Reece James, when his fittings available, arguably the best right back in the Premier League. Moses Caicedo, forever a lot of fans think about him being a shin kicker, him being a foul merchant. He is still a young, top quality midfielder. And you got a number 10 like Cole Palmer, you got a fantastic number 9 like João Pedro. There is a lineup there. There is a spine there that when you get a high quality tactical manager like a Xabi Alonso and you've got 1 game a week, this is the key thing, my friends, you have to understand. Chelsea are only going to have 1 game a week next year. No European football, no Europa League, Conference League or Champions League. And that's going to have an impact in terms of, could that Chelsea team, if they make the right signings and give Alonso the right profiles, compete higher than this Champions League? I know it sounds mad right now because Chelsea are towards the bottom half of the first half of the table. I really feel like Chelsea have a good chance next year to cause some real problems because I feel like this year, by letting go of Maresca, they lost their momentum. And let's not forget, at the first half of the season, this season, a lot of people were talking about Chelsea being title contenders. I remember the draw against Arsenal, back at the end of 2025. And when they got that 1-1 draw, and yes, their fans definitely over-celebrated it. But at the same time, a lot of people were talking about Chelsea having the squad to take it to Arsenal. And, Maresca's project ultimately fell apart because of whatever happened behind the scenes. But to now get Xabi Alonso is a massive coup for Chelsea. And as an Arsenal fan, I'm going to be very intrigued next year to see how are Chelsea going to be? When you have 1 game a week and you've got high quality players and you've got money to spend as well. I know right now for a lot of Chelsea fans, I saw a video today of, I believe it's Sugar Sean on the club reacting to Chelsea losing the final and he's celebrating the Man City goals. A lot of Chelsea fans have given up on the Blue Coat project. Chelsea have got a weird thing. And as a rival fan, it's very weird because every time you feel like, they're falling apart, they always do something behind the scenes, whether it's a transfer, whether it's a managerial appointment. And it makes you start to wonder, well, if it clicks now, with the money they spend, the squad they have, the size they have, and the players they have, they can cause some real problems. So I believe, in my opinion, Xabi Alonso going to Chelsea is going to have a major impact next year. I know some people believe maybe he might fail, maybe he can't deal with the egos, but he's just come from Real Madrid, and they've got a different level of ego there. So going to Chelsea with young players that are willing to learn, we saw what Chelsea were like under Enzo Maresca. Let's not lie about that. Yeah, they won, the Conference League last year, but also the Club World Cup, beating PSG in the final. Under a manager where the players were on side with him, that Chelsea team was dangerous. That Chelsea team caused Arsenal quite a few problems, But when they went for Liam Rosenior, who went for the philosophy, the quotes, the ChatGPT quotes that we were getting, it didn't quite work out. And I don't think the players ever really respected Rosenior like they're going to respect Xabi Alonso. This is an all-time midfield legend. This is where I find it very intriguing because I believe Alonso has the capacity, or even could say is already an elite manager. You don't go undefeated in the Bundesliga for Bayer Leverkusen over Bayern Munich and not be considered potentially or even now a world-class manager. Now, what we've got here is, Xabi Alonso being spoken about by former Arsenal midfielder and Leverkusen midfielder Granit Xhaka, who's worked with Mikel Arteta and Xabi Alonso, two of the most highly rated managers in the world right now. And I want to hear what Xhaka says because I think it is quite intriguing.
Mikel, for example, he has his philosophy and that's it. This always change the sides, the free man, let him jump, for example. Even to play always with back four, never change a back five, for example, or never change like a 4-4-2 with two proper strikers. So you had this 4-3-3 with 1-6-2-8. Xabi is a little bit different. I think that Xabi can play a back four, but he can play as well a back five. But what he wants is always a number 6, not running everywhere, but more of the time to keep the position.
This is what makes the Premier League very exciting next season, because we don't know what's happening with the future of Pep Guardiola. We know Mikel Arteta is most likely going to be there. Is he going to be a champion, a Champions League winner? We're going to wait and see. But Mikel Arteta there. Now you got Xabi Alonso, one of the most highly rated young managers in world football. Only last year signed by Real Madrid. This is going to be a very exciting season next year, seeing how Alonso copes with the Chelsea personnel, if he gets the right profiles, and if his philosophy can come over at the Chelsea side, because Xhaka worked 1 year with Arteta, 1 year with Alonso. And for him to speak like that of Xavi, it just shows how highly rated he is tactically, and that's going to have a major part next season. But this is where I want to talk about, because this is where things really get interesting. Alonso, of course, is a former Liverpool legend. He's a former Liverpool midfielder. And, with the form of Arne Slot, recently there was some talk about Alonso going to Liverpool instead and waiting for that job if Slot was to get let go of or if he was to leave. But according to Miguel Delaney, Liverpool have not got in contact with Xabi Alonso because, from both the data and other evidence, they believe Arne Slot is still a better manager for them. I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans will agree with that. And look, Slot won the league title last year, and Slot was highly, highly rated. But as an Arsenal fan, I'm not going to get my I told you so's, because I never thought Slot was a bad manager either. But I got slandered last year, like you wouldn't believe it, by the entire Liverpool fan base. Every single day I'm getting emails, I'm getting DMs, I'm getting phone calls. Guys were getting my phone number somehow, and they were calling me to talk about Liverpool. I was seeing people on the streets telling me about Liverpool. So I'm not going to laugh at you guys, because it is kind of funny what's happened this season. Let's not lie about it. But the reality is, last year, Arne Slot, and this was the point I was trying to make to some Liverpool fans, but they were in their own bubble at that time. And they were thinking, no, we're the best team. We've got Virgil, we've got Mo Salah. But the problem was last year, Slot's system relied too much on individual brilliance. And when you have an all-time great campaign, like Mo Salah provided, and you have the right fundamentals around him, yes, you're going to win a league title. Yes, you are. But tactically and fundamentally, I think what Liverpool fans have found out this season, despite getting Isak, Wirtz, making big signing after big signing, it's not going to work out the same. Because if Salah's not performing to that world-class, insane, historical level, Arne Slot does not have the tactical capacity to help this Liverpool team back towards title contention. So for me, if I was a Liverpool fan right now and I'm seeing my own former midfielder, who's one of the most highly rated managers in world football, going to Chelsea, well, my current manager has shown this year that his tactical floor is nowhere near where I want it to be, I'm really concerned. And I'm really concerned for Liverpool as well next season, because let's not forget, and we cannot forget this, my friends, at the start of this season, for all the talk right now of Arsenal, and if we don't win the league title, we're going to bottle it. And I totally agree with the position that Arsenal are in right now. If Arsenal don't win, that is a bottle job. But what about the start of the season? Well, if you look at all the stats before the season and all the predictions from every single pundit, Liverpool were the favourites. This is a team that was almost destined to win back-to-back league titles. You just spent £500 million. You broke the record with Florian Wirtz, one of the most highly demanded young midfielders in world football, and then you go get Alexander Isak, not to mention Hugo Ekitike. So for Liverpool right now, the idea that they might not even play in the Champions League next year is absolutely crazy. And I think people are forgetting about that because the focus is mainly on Arsenal. And if Arsenal fail, it's Arsenal. And if Arsenal win, it's Arsenal. But Liverpool were the team that with the money that Slot was given and the funds that he was given, the plays that he was given, they were the sure favourites to win the league title. And that has not been the case. 20 defeats in all competitions this season, breaking the record for the most defeats in a single season by any Liverpool manager. Now think about the managers Liverpool have had, but prior to Jurgen Klopp. As great as Brendan Rodgers was, years before that, they're finishing 8th and 9th and 7th, they're finishing in mid-table, but Slot has broken a brand new record. defeats in the Champions League. I believe they were the only team, when you look at how PSG played in that game against them in the 2 legs in the quarterfinals, they were the only team that not really give PSG a game either. And I get it, there's been a lot of injuries and Salah's dropped off in form and he's obviously gotten older as well. But at the same time, that is not acceptable when you spend £500 million. I'm not going to accept that. If I was a Liverpool fan right now, and I'm sure Liverpool fans you don't accept 20 defeats, with the money you spent. And the fact that you were the favourites and the fact that you're defending a league title, that is nowhere near good enough. And it doesn't help either when you got Dominic Szoboszlai doing McDonald partnerships after your team loses 4-2. He's on a plane with a £250 bill. Oh my God. Listen, I had a lot of stick last year for Liverpool. So when I'm seeing stuff like this, bro, I'm just saying to myself, now you guys know how it feels. Because, bro, last year, the stuff that I saw at Anfield, when Arsenal went to Anfield and we obviously gave you a guard of honor, you deserved the league title last year. The banners about Arteta, real classless. I never really liked the idea of that. And I don't like the idea of how Liverpool have got away with this season. I'm going to say it. For what they were at the start of the season to what they've become now, come the end of it, it's an absolute disgrace. That's a bottle job. If you spend £500 million and you're not even fighting for a title and you're not sure if you're going to get Champions League football, that's a bottle job. Imagine we had won a league title last year and then Mikel Arteta gets £500 million. He gets Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike. Imagine he gets that, right? And then he ends up just about fighting for Champions League places, getting knocked out of the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Imagine the slander that Arteta gets. The slander that Arsenal get. Yeah, I just feel like sometimes there are these double standards and I'm really sick and tired of them. But this, my friends, is the real bomber that I want to focus on. Mo Salah has spoken, and boy oh boy, this statement is crazy. I have witnessed this club go from doubters to believers and from believers to champions. It took hard work and I always did everything I could to help the club get there. Nothing makes me prouder than that. Us crumbling to yet another defeat this season was very painful and not what our fans deserve. I want to see Liverpool go back to the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear and back to the team that wins trophies. This is the football that I know how to play, and that is the identity that needs to be recovered and kept for good. It cannot be negotiable, and everyone that joins this club should adapt to it. Winning some games here and there is not what Liverpool should be about. All teams win games. Liverpool will always be a club that means a great deal to me and my family. I want to see it succeed for long after I have moved on. As I've always said, qualifying for next season's Champions League is the bare minimum, and I will do everything I can to make that happen. Goodness gracious me, Mo Salah. It doesn't help right now for Arne Slot's case, because if I'm right in saying there will be Liverpool fans watching this, a lot of their fans have turned on that manager because they've seen him let them down this season multiple times and not show that tactical flaw to keep them in with the top teams. The fact that you're below Aston Villa, the fact that you're below Manchester United. Great work, Michael Carrick, by the way. Fantastic work, Michael Carrick. We'll talk about that in another video. But the fact that you're below Manchester United, £500 million spent. Arne Slot deserves the slander that he's getting right now. That's what he deserves. I can't believe it. Imagine me telling you at the start of the season, we're going back to August 2025. United have Ruben Amorim as their manager, and then we see the start of the season they have as well. And I tell you that, we'll come the end of the year, they're going to be clearing Liverpool, and Liverpool are just about be trying to qualify for Champions League football. No one would have believed me. They would have laughed at me and they would have asked me what I'm smoking or what I'm drinking. But that's the real case. That's the reality. And Salah here has a point, The player that's leaving Liverpool at the end of the season, he is Liverpool's arguably greatest ever player in Premier League era, won so many trophies. He carried Liverpool last year. To that title. This does not help Slot's case. And I don't think, and when Arne Slot reads that, he's already read it by now. He's been told about it. He's going to hate that because he's quite literally critiquing Slot's style of play there. And Salah's got nothing left to play for there. He's leaving come the end of the season. He's going to go wherever he goes, get a nice amount of money and leave as a Liverpool legend. But in the case of Arne Slot, for your own great player, the one that carried you last year to a title, to be criticising your style of play, the fact that he mentioned the heavy metal football, that's literally talking about this season's style of play for Liverpool. And he's saying, look, we don't agree with it. And he's not the only one that agrees or doesn't agree with Arne Slot's style of play. Just look at the amount of Liverpool current players that like that post. Frimpong, Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, Kirkes, Robertson, Elliott, Endo, and Giovanni Leone. So many different players liking what for me is quite literally slander towards their current manager, Arne Slot. Is he going to be the manager come the start of next season? I don't think Liverpool are a very reactive club. They're a club that if they see an opportunity, they might take it, like they did with, Klopp back in 2015. But I believe Slot will be there come the start of next season. I think that's already been confirmed, right? But this does not help. And neither does this, because, Slot's going to see this. And he will see it as my players are criticizing my style of play to the media, and they're all liking it. The reality for Arne Slot next season is, unless he gets a world-class campaign from one of his forwards, Wirtz or Isak or Ekitike, the Salah level of 2024-25, I don't see Liverpool as title contenders just yet. That's the real. How are you going to replace Salah? That's the first thing. And does Slot have the ability to compete with, Pep being at Man City, Arteta being at Arsenal, Alonso now at Chelsea, who I will firmly say I believe those three managers are tactically better than Arne Slot. But what Arne Slot is fantastic at, by the way, and we saw it last season, is when you've got a world-class player, accommodating that world-class player. And that's why next year, Liverpool are, I'd say, a surprise package. I'm not going to write them off just yet. I did that in the past, my friends, and I know it hurts. I'm not going to write them off just yet. But one thing I will say is if Slot can get the best out of Isak, he could be the real wild card next season. And how they replace Mo Salah as well is going to be very key. I don't want to see Frimpong on the right-hand side. That's not going to work. But Liverpool right now, they're kind of falling apart in front of everyone's eyes. From losing 4-2 to Aston Villa, from not knowing if they're going to be next year's Champions League, from not knowing if Arne Slot is trusted to be the manager, and with Mo Salah leaving as well. So many questions. As an Arsenal fan, I'm intrigued, I'm interested, kind of enjoying as well, can't lie. But now, next season is lining up to be very, very fascinating. Chelsea have got Xabi Alonso, Liverpool, and Arne Slot. It's not looking nice and rosy. My friends, smash a like if you've enjoyed this content. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments of Alonso going to Chelsea. Should he have instead gone to Liverpool? And do you trust an Arne Slot to take charge of Liverpool next season? What do you make of Mo Salah's statement? Was he even needed? Wow. There's always drama in football, especially in the Premier League. And it's good to be involved in it and not be Arsenal.